Hi, and long time no see. It's been about 2 weeks since I last recorded, unfortunately. I know I said on the last episode that I would get back to a normal schedule. Unfortunately, school kicked me in the butt, and I've had tons going on these past 2 weeks. I just haven't had time to sit down. Honestly, I haven't really had time to knit either, which is crazy. But I'm back, and I have lots to show you. My name is Sophia. You can find me on both Instagram and Ravelry as Ichigo Knitter. There is a group on Ravelry for the podcast called Ichigo Abroad Podcast. So let's get started. So these past 2 weeks, as I said, have been super crazy. I've been doing just a ton of stuff. I had a unit test in Japanese today, and now that that's all done, everything is good. I did 2 weeks ago, after my last podcast, I believe, I went to a place called Spa World, where I think I've spoken about it before. I should have. I went a month ago to Spa World, and I went again 2 weeks ago with some friends. What Spa World is basically is this huge building filled with onsens, which are public baths, basically. And it's just this huge, they have 2 separate floors, one floor for men and one floor for female, and every month it alternates who's on what floor. The one floor is European, and the other floor is Asian, so basically all of the onsens are themed around either European style baths or Asian style baths. And so when I first went, it was the Asian theme, and I'd never been to the European theme, and with the switch of the months, they switched over to the European theme for women. So a bunch of my friends and I went to Spa World again, and we went to the European spas, which were fantastic. One of my favorite parts about Spa World is that not only do they have indoor onsens, but they also have an outdoor one. And I'd never really understood before the appeal of an outdoor onsen in the winter, but I completely understand now. It's great. It's fantastic. The water was just perfect, and you just don't feel cold because you're sitting in these great baths out in, and it just feels fantastic because you can kind of cool off your head in the cold air, but it was so cool, and I absolutely loved it. But I bring up this because after we spent quite a few hours in the spa, we went to an okonomiyaki restaurant. And I think I've spoken several times before about okonomiyaki, and what okonomiyaki basically is like, it looks like a savory pancake. It's not a pancake at all, and that's just a terrible way to describe it, but that's the only way I can think of it. It is basically batter and cabbage with any amount of other things you want in it. And usually what I get is the buta kimchi okonomiyaki, which is pork and kimchi, and it's so good. And usually they put a special sauce on top of it, as well as mayonnaise. Mayo is a huge condiment here, and you would be amazed how many things it tastes awesome with. I think I have a newfound obsession for mayonnaise. But I know I've put a lot of pictures on Instagram before, and people have been asking what on earth it is, so I casually took some videos of how it's made. So here you go, check it out.
like being behind, like smiling, like, hey, it's okay, it's good. He says, oh, oh yeah, this thing sticks to your teeth.
No, don't touch the silver part, it's really hot.
Yeah.
Dummy. Although I just did it too, so. And squishy ducket.
This is red.
Sugoi.
Let's eat this. Now.
So that's okonomiyaki. I hope you guys like that. It's literally my favorite food ever here. There's actually around the corner from my dorm, there's a tiny okonomiyaki shop where my friends and I go sometimes. It's so good. It's just so hard to explain how awesome it is, but just trust me, it's awesome. So in between all the okonomiyaki eating and all of the crazy school, I did finish my neck warmer. So this is the Twisted Rib Neck Warmer pattern by Michelle Johnston. And I used the mods provided by Rav user Black Bun. And a lot of people have used her modifications. And this is a totally free pattern. And it is a 4-row repeat, so super easy and quick to memorize and super easy and quick to knit. I knit this in a matter of maybe 4 days. And it just flew off the needles. I knit this out of Madeline Tosh Pashmina in the Cove colorway. I bought this yarn last semester in Kyoto, and I had just been waiting for the perfect project. And I had been looking and looking all over Ravelry for sport weight projects. And I had come up on this pattern once before, and I had thought about it. And then recently I was flipping through again, and I found it again. And I was like, alright, that's it. This is the second time I found this pattern. This is happening. And I'm so glad I made this decision, because this is just the best pattern for this yarn. I absolutely love it. It's big enough to wrap around my neck twice. I'll show you what it looks like on its own. Oh, I feel cold without it on. So on its own, and this is unblocked. I'll probably block it when I get back home in June. So this is its full unblocked. Ooh, my finger's stuck. Full unblocked size. And you can see the pattern there. And the color is pretty close to that. There's a glare, sorry. It's a little more blue than gray and brown. It definitely has browns in it, but much less so than the blues that are in it. But unfortunately, my lighting in here is absolutely terrible. But yeah, it's like the best. I love it. Super warm, super fantastic. Highly recommended as I shove this back over all of my crazy hair. Anyways, I have a whip, but I've made barely any progress on it. Because I've just not had time to sit down and knit. But this is sock numero uno of the socks I am knitting out of the Opal Sweet and Spicy 2. Whoops, there goes my sock. All over the place. This is what happens. I'm just all over the place. Okay, this is Opal Sweet and Spicy 2. It is the chili colorway. There it is. And it will come out looking generally like that. And so here it is. Knit up so far. I probably have about an inch more to go before the heel, I'd say. Maybe a little more. I'm super happy with how it's coming out, and yeah, so hopefully this might not be done for a while, actually. And why is because I have pulled back out my scrap yarn blanket. I haven't had time to really sit and knit much of anything lately, and I've just been in the mood, to just knit a little bit. So I think I might just do some casual work on my sock yarn blanket, because I absolutely love knitting on it, and it's just, I can get one square done and feel like I've done something. But now that things have cooled down in school, I should have more time to knit, but I think I'll start easing myself back in by doing some sock blanket knitting. Can't talk at all today. Another thing I'm planning on doing, actually, is I think I'm going to try and start a granny square blanket. I have seen so many on Instagram and on Ravelry and on podcasts, and they're absolutely beautiful, and I thought it might be a great way to practice granny squares, because I really, really, really want to get better at crochet. So I've pulled out my crochet hook, and I think that's probably number one on my list of things to start doing before my sock yarn blanket is I'm probably going to do a little bit of granny square knitting. And hopefully it will work out, and I wouldn't start putting together a blanket until I actually got home. But, you know, I think the great idea behind the granny square blanket is that you don't need to do it all at once. You can just knit a bunch of little squares and then later on attach them all together, which I really love the idea of that, especially as a student abroad, because I really don't have much space for packing when I return, and if I just have a bunch of little squares, they'll be perfect to stick into one of those vacuum bags that sucks all the air right in. And it'd be another great use of my sock yarn, because I think I've said before, for some reason, I don't know why, I always end up with tons of yarn left over, irregardless of how large my feet are. I don't know. Maybe it's because I knit the leg kind of short. That might be it. Anyways, crazy rambling of the day. It's never a podcast without me crazy rambling. It's never a day without me crazy rambling. I just ramble. So that's honestly all the knitting. And that's, it's crazy. I just don't know what's wrong with me. Well, it's cool. I also did some adventuring this past weekend. This past weekend was the Lunar New Year's, which isn't really celebrated in Japan as much as it is in China and Korea. However, there are many Chinatowns in Japan, and there's a very large Chinatown in Kobe, which is about an hour-and-a-half train ride from where I live right now. So on Saturday, my friends and I all hopped on a train and we went out to Kobe. And it was the most incredible experience. I'm so glad I decided to go. It was, Chinatown was just bustling with people. There were street vendors everywhere. It was the most delicious food. Another one of my favorite foods, besides okonomiyaki in the whole wide world, is butamon, which is pork buns. They're incredible. And these street vendors had so much pork buns, and it was just delicious. I was so happy. If you can't tell, I really like food. So it was incredible. The whole place was all decorated. People were all over the place. It was fantastic. They had a central area where performances were going on all day. My friends and I stopped to watch a acrobatist. Is that the acrobatist words? Something. I hope you know what I mean. A performer. Oh man. A performer did this crazy. He stacked chair upon chair, and every time he stacked up a new chair, he would do a handstand on top of it. And he kept building them up, and it was just, we were freaking out by the end because there were just way too many chairs, and he was way too high up. And he was doing handstands, like to the side and straight up, and it was just, it was so cool. But my friends and I were like freaking out, like we were terrified that he was gonna fall. It was just, it was incredible. The whole day was amazing. We didn't just stay in Chinatown, we went walking around Kobe, and Kobe is really beautiful. I didn't know anything about Kobe other than the fact that there was a Chinatown there before I went, and I'm so glad I did, and I really want to go again because it's just beautiful. They have a gorgeous waterfront. It was just so much fun, and I took a ton of pictures and videos, and it was a great day. I can't say enough good things about just how refreshing the day was. It was fantastic. It was beautiful weather. We were really lucky. So it was perfect weather for a Lunar New Year's festival and perfect weather for walking by the harbor. It was just gorgeous, and I loved it. So why don't you check it out? So, I feel like this is a super short episode, and I'm really sorry about that, guys. I've just been all over the place, and I promise I'm going to get back to a normal schedule. It's just, everything's been crazy lately. But the last thing I wanted to talk about today is that we are going to be doing a cherry blossom knit-along. In Japan, the cherry blossoms are going to start blooming. The prediction for here in my area, in the Kansai region, is late March. And I'm just, so excited about it. So my mom and I thought it would be really fun to do a knit-along around the blooming of the cherry blossoms. Cherry blossom in Japanese is sakura, and places have already started putting out sakura-themed items. Starbucks has out right now their current theme item is the Carameri Sakura Chocolate Latte, which is a caramel cherry blossom chocolate latte, and it's great. Let me tell you, I've had it like twice already. Oops. It's delicious. And they also have a Frappuccino version, which I have yet to try, but it's just a wee bit too chilly for a Frappuccino for me yet. But since this is something, I'm so excited about it that we thought this would be really fun. And I meant to get this information out earlier, and I'm so sorry, guys. It's my bad. I'm just all over the place. But what we're thinking of doing is having it start on the 1st of March and going through all of March and all of April. So 2 whole months. The only requirements are that you knit something in a shade of pink or red, and it just needs to be started after the cal begins and has to be finished before the end of April. And we're going to have several prizes. I'm going to put together a little pack of goodies from here in Japan that have a cherry blossom theme to them. My mom has offered to hand spin a skein of yarn for someone. And we have also been given permission by a favorite knit designer of my mom and I. Her name is Aroha Knits on both Ravelry and Instagram. If you guys haven't heard of her or seen her patterns, I highly recommend go check them out right now. Find her on Ravelry, go follow her on Instagram. She posts up absolutely beautiful photographs. And what's super cool about her is that she lives down in Kyushu, which is here in Japan. It is in very southern Japan. It is absolutely beautiful. She lives in the village of Ubuyama. And she knits the most beautiful things. One of her patterns that she has is the cherry blossom shawl. So go check it out, guys. It's fantastic. She does beautiful work. My mom has knit a shawl of hers, has knit another shawl as a test knit, and I'm really excited to actually be able to knit one of her things when I get home and have more yarn again, because right now I'm kind of just knitting through what I have left so that I don't have way too much to pack and bring home with me. But afterwards, that's happening. I'm really excited. She has just absolutely beautiful work. The photography for her patterns are absolutely amazing. So go check her out on Ravelry and Instagram. And we will be giving away one of her patterns as a prize. So there will be at least 3 prizes. And I'm going to put up the finished objects thread as soon as possible. And I think if anyone's interested, I'd be more than happy to open up a chatter thread if people want to share what they're working on, the progress that's going. I thought it'd be really fun if we put up pictures of flowers blooming as they start to bloom in the spring. I know right now at home, the northeast of America is literally just covered in snow. Like, my mom sends me messages all the time like, new snowstorm, here's our backyard. And it's like, snow, just snow, nothing but snow. But to combat all of that snowy blues, I thought it would be really great if we start to look forward to the spring and the world coming back to life again, and cherry blossoms and any kind of flowers blooming and just the sun and the warm and the pretty. So I thought that would be really fun. So I think I'll open up a chat group if you guys would like to join in that. That would be really fun. And that's about it for today, I believe. This has been a totally short episode, and I promise it will get back to normal. I've just been all over the place, and it's been like, blah. But everything's good. Everything is pulled out my knitting again. I'm going to get back to my knitting now that I've taken care of my exams. Yeah. And so hopefully I'll see you again next week. Everyone, I hope that you have good weather, great knitting, and have a nice week. Bye.